Comic books have given us some of the greatest stories ever told. But once in a while, writers take things way too far. Whether it's shocking relationships, disturbing scenes, or storylines that left fans asking, what were they thinking? These moments cross the line from bold to downright inappropriate. Today we're counting down the most inappropriate moments in comic book history ranked by just how controversial, uncomfortable, and unforgettable they became. Trust me, you won't believe what made it to number 1. Let's jump right in. Number 6. The Birds of Prey sing about the Justice League. You probably wouldn't expect one of the most inappropriate comic book moments to come from a kid-friendly Batman cartoon, but Batman the Brave and the Bold somehow pulled it off. In this episode, Masks of Matches Malone, Huntress, Black Canary, and Batgirl are trying to infiltrate a room full of mobsters when their cover is blown. They're forced to jump on stage and improvise a musical number to avoid suspicion. What follows is one of the most shocking songs ever featured in a DC animated series. The lyrics are packed with playful double entendres and not-so-subtle jokes about nearly every member in the Justice League. They tease Flash for being too fast, joke about Aquaman's little fish, poke fun at Plastic Man's stretching abilities, and even flirt with Batman by mentioning his secret cave. The song was so suggestive that Warner Bros. Actually censored some of the lyrics before the episode aired in the United States. Even with those edits, plenty of innuendos remained, leaving many parents wondering how they made it into a Saturday morning cartoon in the first place. It's funny, surprisingly clever, and definitely one of the most inappropriate moments ever associated with Batman. Number 5. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver's controversial relationship. One of the most uncomfortable storylines in Marvel history came from the Ultimate Universe, where Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver's relationship took a direction that shocked fans. When the Maximoff twins were first introduced in the Ultimates by Mark Millar and Brian Hitch, readers noticed that there was something unusual about how close the siblings seemed. The comics hinted at a relationship that went beyond normal than brother and sister affection. But it was never outright confirmed. Well, that changed in the Ultimates 3. Writer Jeff Loeb removed all the ambiguity and revealed that Pietro and Wanda were romantically involved. The revelation comes when the Wasp explains to Captain America that the twins don't love each other as family, they're actually in love. The reveal immediately became one of the most controversial moments in Marvel Comics. Fans criticized the decision for relying purely on shock value, and the storyline quickly earned the infamous nickname Twincest. Even years later, it's still remembered as one of the most shocking, most inappropriate, and widely disliked creative choices Marvel has ever published. Fortunately, the storyline was limited only to the Ultimate Universe and has never been part of Marvel's main continuity. Number 4. The Blob Eats the Wasp. Ultimatum. Few comic book events are as infamous as Marvel's Ultimatum. Crossover was supposed to be a massive finale for the Ultimate Universe, but instead it became known for relying on excessive violence and shock value. The most disturbing scene comes when Hawkeye stumbles across a horrifying discovery. He finds the Blob standing over the Wasp after her death, with the story strongly implying that the villain has eaten her. It's one of the most dark and unsettling moments Marvel has ever published. When Giant Man arrives and sees what happens, he responds with shocking brutality by attacking the Blob and killing him in equal graphic fashion. To make the scene even more controversial, the issue ends with a dark joke that many readers felt completely undercut the tragedy. Even today, Ultimatum is remembered less for its story and more for its relentless gore, making it one of the most inappropriate and widely criticized events in Marvel Comics. Number 3. Spider-Man's radioactive tragedy. Spider-Man Reign. Spider-Man Reign was meant to be Marvel's answer to The Dark Knight Returns, a darker, older version of Peter Parker forced back into action. Instead, it's remembered as one of the strangest and most controversial twists in Spider-Man history. The story follows an aging Peter Parker living alone after the death of Mary Jane Watson. Haunted by visions of his late wife, Peter struggles with overwhelming guilt while trying to save New York from an oppressive force known as rain. As the story unfolds, readers discover that the heartbreaking reason Peter blames himself for Mary Jane's death. The comic reveals that years of exposure to Peter's radioactive powers ultimately cause her to develop a fatal illness. The twist immediately became one of the most mocked moments in Marvel history. While the emotional scene between Peter and Mary Jane were intended to be tragic, many readers couldn't get past the bizarre explanation for her death. What was supposed to be a powerful ending instead became infamous for all the wrong reasons. To this day, Spider-Man Reign remains one of Spider-Man's most controversial stories and a perfect example of how a shocking twist can completely overshadow an otherwise emotional tale. Number 2. The controversial shower scene in Rampaging Hulk number 23. One of Marvel's most controversial stories came from Rampaging Hulk number 23. Published in the early 1980s, while the issue was intended to tell a gritty, realistic horror story, it has since become infamous for its handling of sensitive topics. In this story, Bruce Banner is cornered in a locker room by two men who threaten him. Instead of transforming into the Hulk, Banner freezes in fear and desperately tries to escape the situation. He eventually gets away from the attack after it starts to escalate. The storyline sparked criticism not only because of the disturbing subject matter, but also because of how it portrayed one of the attackers. Many readers felt that the comic reinforced harmful stereotypes that were already common in media at the time, making the story feel insensitive rather than thought-provoking. Writer Jim Shooter later explained that the scene was inspired by a real-life experience he had with a friend. Even so, the issue remains one of Marvel's most debated comics, with many fans pointing to it as an example of storytelling that has not aged well. Looking back today, it's remembered less for its message and more for the controversy it created, earning it its place as one of the most inappropriate comics in comic book history. Number 1. The Joker's attack on Barbara Gordon, The Killing Joke. Topping the list is one of the darkest and most controversial moments ever published in a superhero comic, The Killing Joke. The story begins with the Joker escaping Arkham Asylum and targeting Commissioner Jim Gordon and his family. When Barbara Gordon answers the door, the Joker suddenly shoots her, leaving her with life-changing injuries and ending her career as Batgirl. But that was only the beginning of his horrific plan. The Joker kidnaps Jim Gordon and subjects him to a psychological torture, hoping to prove that one terrible day is enough to drive any sane person into madness. As part of that plan, Barbara is victimized in ways that are heavily implied rather than shown outright, making the sequence even more disturbing. The Joker then uses photographs of Barbara suffering the torment to her father in an attempt to break his spirit. The story sparked decades of debate. While many praised The Killing Joke as one of the Batman's greatest stories, others criticized how Barbara Gordon was treated and argued that her trauma was used primarily to develop the story of Batman and Commissioner Gordon. Despite the controversy, there's no denying its impact on comic book history. And that's our list of the most inappropriate moments in comic book history. From bizarre storylines to disturbing twists and controversial creative decisions, these are the moments that left fans shocked, uncomfortable, and wondering what the writers were even thinking. Did we miss any infamous comic moments? Let us know down in the comment. I always love seeing your suggestions, and they might even make it into the next video. If you enjoyed this countdown, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another. Thanks for watching True Power Comics.